The holiday season is over and the January 1st hangover is just some faraway memory, so I think it's time to make something. Today I will continue working on my extra long socket that I'm making for the railroad people, and this part is gonna be welded in here, and then of course extra length. And on the other side, with this piece, I have to cut a square in here just to be able to use a socket wrench ratchet system, or this one, we'll see. So let's go for it. That's a problem. For some mysterious reason, the part I would like to use is tapered. And I want to keep the length here, so after I will have much easier to install it in the shaper to make the square hole. So maybe if I put it this way. Nope. I wanted to use this piece because there is a, for me, completely useless slit in here. So after my part is finished, all I have to do is cut it off and I keep this little thingy here. But because there's more than 2 millimeters of taper in both sides, this is not gonna work. But luckily I found another thing that on this side is flame cut, and on the other side, as you can see, I already used it, but it's the right length to fit in my little shaper vise. So let's make this one work. Because the smallest dimension on my square here for my ratchet system thing is more or less 12.8. I will drill it a little bit bigger, for example 13, which should in theory work very well because the diagonals of my square tool here is also 13. So 13, this will work. I think that the 13 millimeter hole idea will work just fine. This is my square cutting tool, of course, and as you can see, it will work. Now, because I don't need, of course, over the whole length a square, and my cutting tool is too short to cut it square over the whole length, I think I'm gonna keep only this length here, which is, I don't remember anymore, this length at 13, and all this part I will drill out way bigger, so that my cutting tool, when it comes out, it will have clearance. And because this thing is not really exact science, I will just use my scale and a little mark. So we set 58 right there. That will do. This thing is now drilled out and bored out from the other side and ready to be installed in my little vise here, of course, on the shaper. But before I can start cutting, first I have to regrind my square tool here. Because last time I used it, I think I mistreated it a bit and it's missing corners. And to do that, I will use the angle grinder installed on the USSR lathe. Now I will use this lathe because here I have already the forge-out chuck installed with my future cutting tool in here, of course. And the angle grinder itself is installed in this kind of weird looking thing here. Now as you can see, I have two. In this one, the grinder will be installed on the left hand side of the holder, and in this one it's on the right hand side of the holder. So I can choose, I put my angle grinder on this side of the tool post or the other side or in the middle or whatever. Now I already showed this thing in a older video, but in case you missed it, here it is again. This is just a piece of C channel that I cut out and then welded on a couple of ears. And of course these bolt holes here correspond with the handle on the angle grinder itself. As you can see, it's a very simple thing, but efficient. And that's all it takes. As you can see, here's the result. Now, as usual, of course, it takes more time to set up the whole switch than to do the grind itself. But as you can see, it works just fine. And of course now I have to spend even more time cleaning off the grinding dust that's left on the machine here, because high-speed steel and weighs not good friends. Right, let's start with the setup on the shaper. I had to change my setup a tiny bit. I moved the vise completely front because of course this tool, instead of cutting right here, it is cutting right here, a little bit further away. But now I think we're there. And when I check with my check the square thingy here, in theory, I should move 2 mm that way and this way and up and down, and let's see what happens. I took off my springy knob here because it was in the way for filming, and I will run this machine at 100 strokes a minute. And of course the clapper is locked. I don't want the tool to lift on the backstroke. As you can see, cutting square holes is not complicated. It's just that filming it, that's complicated. Because of course the cutting action happens inside here. The camera can see what I'm doing here. And of course I myself can also not see what I'm doing while cutting in here. And the second problem is because of the movement of the RAM, the auto focus of the camera is getting a little bit crazy. But as you can see now, I have a square hole and the thing fits. It's just that my little square here doesn't hold very well because you have this ball idea system thing in here, and in a real socket, if I pick this one up, and maybe if I shine a bit of light in it, you can see an indent where the little ball falls in. I would like to copy this, of course, in my square thingy here. Perfect. I installed the thing the other way around in the lathe because this is the part I'm gonna keep, of course. And now I have to reduce this diameter so that it can fit inside this piece of pipe. And then after I will have to cut off a part here, and we'll see. First I will leave here more or less 20mm length and all the rest diameter, same like inside here. Let's go for it. It's wobbling. It will be a hammer fit, but it's also a fit. And now it's time to do the operation I really don't like, because for me it just doesn't work. And that is, of course, parting off. I have here a parting tool that I screwed up some time ago, so this one doesn't work anymore. I also have this spring-loaded parting tool, and this one works very well on the shaper. The problem is on both lathes it works sometimes, but most of the time it just doesn't. The thing breaks or it squeezes in the part and then everything is skewed and it just doesn't work. Now a real machinist could maybe tell me what I'm doing wrong, but I'm not a real machinist, so I can't figure it out. You know, I just make things east, that's all. So what I'm gonna try this time, because I never tried before, I think, I don't remember, I'm gonna use a triangular tool and then plunge in and then widen the slot a bit and plunge in deeper and widen the slot, and we'll see what happens. To avoid any potential screw up, I just took the easy road and all this part I turned it in chips. So I'm sure nothing weird happened. And as you can see, it worked very well. And I think the time has come to do a little bit of assembly and weld all these things together. So over to the welding corner. And to install this thing in my welding rotator, of course this side of the socket is too big to go over this little center point here. So I found a little piece of lathing with a center in it, and it's a little bit too small, but I think it's gonna work. Right, let's this works just fine, but it's this side that doesn't want to cooperate. What's happening here? This will work. Alright. The weld on this side looks much better than the weld on this side. I think here maybe there wasn't enough heat to fill up this corner. This was more a flat weld, so, but that's okay. It's a tool, it's not a museum piece. The question is now, of course, does it work? It works! At the association we have a whole lot of these spacer bars, and it's new old stock and they lived outside for way too long, and that's why the nuts are rusted solid on these threads. But that is of course not my problem. My problem was to make a tool, and that's exactly what I did. And to use it, I'm sure we're gonna pick some volunteers.